Hi, everyone. Sharon the Red Baron here, your host from the Community Thinking Tank. I'm very, very excited that you're here because one thing I keep hearing in my mind is awakening stories are the awakening. And there are people of all walks of lives. You've got doctors, lawyers, secretaries, stay-at-home moms, guys in construction. It's happening to all of us, and I'm super excited. And I'm very passionate about listening to people's awakening stories because whether you're on the right or the left and you can't agree, one thing I think we can agree on is let's put our political differences aside and start focusing on the people suffering in our communities and put our minds together.
Mm.
It's a must. I think both sides are realizing now that if you want to keep enjoying, fighting online because over politics, we really got to take a step back and realize that we all got played. And what is the community thinking tank? So the community thinking tank is a place for people to put those political differences aside, like I just said, and start taking care of one another. We have ideas to get people going right out of the gates, meaning, preparing frozen meals for people who are suffering and start posting it in community pages, people expanding their gardens and allowing people to come garden so they can actually have their source of food right there and so much more. And it literally, the best part I love about it, it's free. It's not a business. It's a place where people can create their own community thinking tanks where literally all they do is they create their group, go to the Facebook group. It's a private group, communitythinkingtank.com. Go to the photo album and boom, there are a list of items to get you going right out of the gates. But here's the best part about it is the tagline is for Community Thinking Tank, follow the signs and create a movement because so many of us have been silenced on both sides. I mean, people are getting their posts taken down about Jesus now. Like, come on, people. So follow the signs and create a movement. People are placing them in their own city and state of signs of peace and positivity and hang in there. And it's a judgment-free zone. So once people create their community thinking tanks, all they do, it takes less than 10 minutes. They just invite all their peeps, boom, boom, boom. And we encourage people just start thinking about 5 hours a month, 5 hours a month, and your 10 to 20 people that start. And as it continues to grow and everyone sees these signs, they're going to have FOMO, Carrie. They're going to be like, what's this community thinking tank? I don't know, but I like it. And that's how it's all going to start. And we want the men, women, children, teenagers. They're going to start. It's going to be wonderful, but I could talk about that all day. But I would like to introduce my new special friend, Carrie. Carrie. Do you remember that song? Did people
Oh,
sing
of
that to you?
course. Yes, I'm definitely that generation.
I
That
love
was the
it.
lighter song.
You're my second Carrie. I'm like, there's no coincidences. I'm like, that was a song by who was the band?
Oh gosh, I should know this. Was it
I should
Scorpion? I think it,
no
no,
Warrant or something like that.
no, it wasn't. Anyways, I should know that
We
because
could, yeah,
yeah, I'll have to look it up.
that's another episode.
I
Well,
should know
listen,
it.
Carrie, thank you for jumping on here because I feel like
Mm.
the more that people hear of so many different awakening stories, it's going to give them that aha moment where they're like, oh my gosh, that's me too, me too, me too. And
I
they're
hope
not going
so.
to feel so alone anymore.
Yeah.
Proud of you. So, Carrie, let me ask you, how far back did you recognize your first great awakening? What was that aha moment?
Well, for me, I feel like my first kind of like awakening into like the universe of the meaning of life and start questioning that is when I was 12 years old. I had a near death experience. I was a competitive swimmer growing up, and at swim practice, we were being pushed really, really hard.
Mhm.
And I ended up holding my breath for too long, and I passed out, and I breathed
Oh,
underwater, and I died. I had my heart stopped, and they had to pull me out of the pool lifeless, and I had the full.
holy,
Yeah, I mean, and
wow.
of course, I have no memory of it. My last memory is like the darkness, and I'm underwater, and I'm the darkness comes, and but I just still to this day still have the full memory of the white light, the pure bliss, the unconditional love, all that people have talked about. I ended up studying near
Wow.
death experiences after this because I was fascinated, because I was shown kind of like the possibility. It was a snippet. It didn't feel very long. I
Mhm.
don't even remember exactly how long I was under. I know it was around 45 minutes to an hour, maybe.
You were underneath for 45 minutes?
Yeah, they
No one
re-
saw you?
Oh no, they did. I mean, I hear, of course, to this day, I still have stories of my swim team and, people talking about it. It was terrifying for them. All the
I
stories from the
bet.
other side was really scary. And, I remember hearing those stories. Um, but for
Wow.
me, it wasn't anything. It was pure bliss. It was like dreamland. It felt amazing. It was like being in the womb, all the things that people talk about. and my
Wow.
and my honestly, my memory of coming back into my body
Were
was
you
the
sad to come back? I've heard
yes,
that.
yes,
That
it
was a
was.
movie. You know that
I've
the
seen.
Angel
Yes,
Studios did a
yes,
movie about
yep,
this. Like,
yeah,
this is getting real. They're very credible. They're lining everything up for the
yep,
truth to be told.
yeah. It was
Wow.
traumatizing and it was painful, and I didn't want to come back.
Could you feel like,
Mhm.
can I ask you, so if you're drowning, could you feel the physical part or did
No,
you just feel it in your mind and you
no.
couldn't feel? Because
So
I've heard that. That's why
the
I'm asking.
physicalness that I felt was literally my lungs burning because I was holding my breath and so I felt that in my body of like, but I'm almost there. I can almost reach the wall. I'm so close. I'm so close. I just kept pushing myself, and
Wow.
then darkness, and then out of my body light. But my memory was, I don't remember passing out. I just remember pushing myself, and then the next thing I know, I'm in pure bliss. There was no pain. There was no, you know, choking underwater. There was none of that. It just completely was just like from, yeah,
Whoa.
one frame to the next. It was like I'm swimming, and then I'm on the other side with my angels and guides, and they're showing me the love and the light and
Oh,
the
what did they
bliss.
look like?
At the
Do you
time
remember
there was
any of
no, there
them?
was
No?
it
Gotcha.
was it was feelings. It
Yeah.
was like the feelings of energy that I recognized. It was like I
Wow.
recognized the feeling of like possibly family members. Like it just felt like
You were
safety.
being loved and
Yeah,
watched over
yeah,
and
it was like there was no fear. It was just like, oh, this is happening and this is amazing, and oh my gosh, like this is
you're like, I'm
magical.
only 12 years old,
Yeah,
right?
but it really was a feeling of like
Wow.
zero fear, and I was like, cool, I'm fine, because you completely detach from fear or
Wow.
anything of this world. It's a complete detachment, and you're seriously are just in spirit, and you're just like, oh, it's fine. I don't care if I go back. In fact, I don't really want to, because this feels really good. Like this is
Yeah, because then you can
amazing.
start looking down, going, "Oh, she's been
Yeah.
talking shit behind my back." I know, right? You're like, "This
I mean,
place sucks."
there was none of that. It just was this pure, like being shown kind of the possibility of what it feels like on the other side. At
Yeah,
that time, of
yeah,
course, I have no idea what's happening. The next thing I
yeah.
know, I'm waking up in the ambulance, and there's all this pain and confusion,
Oh,
and I'm hearing, and just crazy loud, and it just was really uncomfortable. And I come out of it, and of course, everyone's around me like, "Oh my God, like you just died, like you just like," and people are crying, and it's just intense, and it's
whoa.
like, and I come out of it going like,
Hey
what just
guys.
happened? Like,
Yeah.
I'm good. Like, I really was like, I'm okay. Like, leave me alone. Like, get away, because it was so
Wow.
overwhelming. I couldn't take in what they were telling me, because in my mind, there was no pain, nothing. I didn't feel anything until I came back. And then there was just this overwhelming sense of confusion. And
When you did come through, do you feel
mhm,
like you felt the pain in your body then?
yeah,
Like that's when it hit
yeah.
you like,
Hmm. Oh,
oh
it
my
was, yeah, the
God.
pain was unbearable. It was like the fire
Elephant on your
pain. Oh
oh.
gosh, yeah. It was really traumatizing coming back, and I remember like crying in the overwhelm, and there was later in that night there was the sense of like, I just want to go back. Like, what was that?
Yeah.
Like, what is happening there? It just was
It's
really overwhelming and really
crazy.
confusing. and people didn't understand why I was okay.
How were your
And
parents when they heard all this? Were they there or did they
they
meet you at the
weren't,
hospital? Like,
you know what? I didn't even go to the hospital. In my there was like the EMTs came, they brought me back, and then I was up and I was fine, and I wanted to be left alone because it was so overwhelming. I didn't know what to do with all of it. Um, but no, my parents were at work, and I literally, like, my friends walked me home, and I just rested.
whoa.
Yeah, yeah, and I just
Oh
remember.
my gosh. I can't imagine. What was your parents' reaction though? They're like,
Well,
oh my
they
gosh, my
well,
baby.
what's really interesting is I had very not super like lovey-dovey, oh my gosh, like they kind of thought I
Gotcha.
over dramatized it. Like I basically was like, yeah, I drowned, and they were like, that's, they always felt like I was over dramatizing things and like overly
Yeah.
emotional and overly sensitive, and
Until
so
she got a call from like the EMTs or
yeah,
someone and they're like, no, for
yeah.
reals.
Well, they got
Like,
a call from some of the other parents that my swimming coach ended up getting fired. Like it was like this whole thing.
oh,
Um,
mhm.
because it
Which
was
I
the
think is legit because if you one of your
yeah,
kids is like, where's that one? You
yeah,
know? Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
Well, because it was the coaches like pushing us to like work harder. And they were like, if you do this, then we get to leave early today. And so there, we were all really
Yeah.
trying to like not be in, it was like summer, like let's do
Yeah.
this so we can end early today.
Yeah.
But it's weird because I don't have a lot of vivid memories. I just have like, I honestly don't have memories of what my dad said or did at all because he was very kind of stoic and distant anyways, like not
Mm-hmm.
connected. We didn't have much of a relationship.
Gotcha.
And my
I'm
mom
sorry.
being concerned, but very much like, oh, I'm just glad you're okay, but still not quite understanding or believing until she like talked to the other parents and people. And then she was like, oh, like that, wow,
Then
that
what was
really
her
happened.
reaction when she heard, like, was she
I mean,
kind of freaked out? Like, I mean,
well,
I can't imagine if I thought of my kids, I'd be like, oh my gosh. Like,
Well, what's interesting is today she doesn't even remember it. I mean, she is, a little bit older and stuff, but it's fascinating, going through the healing process of healing my trauma with my parents. Cause today she's like, gosh, I just don't even remember that. So it's really fascinating.
wow.
Because
Wow.
I think maybe because she wasn't there. And then I never really talked about it again. I went very internal because
Can I ask you
I got
about
shut
that?
down.
That
Um,
makes a lot of sense. So my question to
mhm,
you is since that had happened,
yeah.
were certain things starting to happen to you?
Hmm.
Like, were you starting to see, feel, sense things more? Could you
Yeah.
literally start? Because I saw, and I don't want to take away your time, but I
No,
just saw
yeah,
this
please.
fascinating video about a near-death experience of
Hmm.
a older woman. And she explained her situation. I even saved it because I was like, wow, there's your proof. Where she was on the operating table and
Hmm.
she died on the table for a while. And literally, she snapped out of it. But when she awakened, she was telling the doctor and the nurse everything they were saying. And they're like, like
Yeah.
you were dead. And she's like, no, and I want to encourage you that you should have a sign on the ceiling, like don't be afraid of the light and things like that. And they're like,
Yeah.
what? Like, because this is
Yeah.
real. So
Yeah.
wow. So please explain
Yeah.
that. So after it happened, what was starting to
Hmm.
happen to you?
Well, I went super internal because I had, of course, some friends who were like spreading the word. So by the time we went back to school, people were like asking me about it.
Hmm.
But I didn't love the attention because I didn't
Yeah.
understand what really happened because I didn't witness it. In
Yeah.
my brain, it was like not really that big of a deal. But at the same time, um, it really like started to awaken more sensitivities in me spiritually, in my
Questioning
body.
everything, right?
Yeah. And I was like, wait a minute, like, what was that? Like, so I just went very internal with it. I'm a big reader. And so I started looking for and trying to find, uh, you know, what that meant. Like, because
Hmm.
I grew up in church where it was like one thing, but I was, I mean, I was
Hmm.
questioning everything.
What church did you belong to, or do you belong to, or
Well,
did?
yeah, I mean, I was brought very Christian, and then
Mhm.
Mormonism was a huge thing in my life. I grew
Oh,
up in a very
wow.
Mormon community. Um,
Gotcha. I'm getting a lot of feedback on that.
Yeah. And
Pros and cons, right? The
yeah.
cons
Yeah.
though.
Yes. Yeah. No, I left that church when I was about 20.
Mm-hmm.
But it yeah, I just ended up going down the road of like near death experiences and started reading people's stories. And then it brought me into the world of like psychic abilities because I started noticing my own intuition and empathy, um, that I was really, really tuned into other people's energies and their
I
sensitivities.
love it. And can I just
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
everyone, for the record, that
Mm-hmm.
intuition that she's talking about
Mm-hmm.
got depicted in your Bibles in a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the quote unquote corporate religion. I'm not dissing the religion and
Yeah.
or anything, but my point is that we all are intuitive once we connect within. They just labeled
Absolutely.
it differently. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that so people that are in this process can
Yeah.
understand the terminology that like those trigger words that are just like,
Mm-hmm.
don't say that, Carrie. That's
Yeah.
for woo
Don't
woo.
say psychic, don't say intuitive. But no, I
Yeah.
learned later because I studied at the Berkeley Psychic Institute for a couple of years. That was
Ooh.
like, oh, we're all psychic, we're all intuitive. And I've learned how to tap into that and then support other, but that's a whole nother story. But
Oh boy, yeah, it is. We're gonna have like three separate ones so you
yeah.
can share with the audience. I love it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I would say so this first really was my spirit like first spiritual awakening because it did lead me down the path of spirituality and trying to understand not only the Bible that I grew up in. I ended up studying all other religions, the Buddhist and the Hindu and I read the
I
Quran
love
and I
it.
and I really became deeply fascinated with the history of spirituality and religion and the mysticisms and all of that
Mhm.
because I'm like something is happening with me, but I feel very alone because I didn't have anybody in my immediate world that
I'm sorry.
really believed me or understood.
I'm glad you
Um,
said that because I feel
yeah,
like so many people, that's why this is so important because I
yeah,
think almost everyone else that I've run into have felt the same way. They're like, they'll never understand. They're
yeah,
gonna lock me up. They're
uh
gonna be
huh,
like, gonna pop some more pills and the synthetic crap. It's just gonna
yeah.
dumb me down more. And
And I went through that. I went through medication and
ah,
all of that because I was like, maybe there is something wrong with me. Maybe I am crazy. Maybe I did get
oh,
brain damage when I drowned because that's what I was told. And
oh, I'm so sorry. You seem
yeah.
pretty sharp to me. Just saying. I love it. I love it. Wow. And I love that I've also heard that as well when people have those near death experiences or whatever their
hmm
awakening is that they start to do their research on other
Yeah.
religions and
hmm
they kind of just come up with, I mean, it's just fascinating. Good for you. So can I
Yeah.
ask you, do you feel
Yeah.
that Jesus was more of a hippie than what they portray in these corporate?
100%.
I
Yeah.
love it. Me
100%.
too.
Well, what I've loved more about studying, especially about Jesus, like coming back to that and just being fascinated with his story and, trying to
Mm,
figure out, is it real? Was it real? All of that for myself
yeah.
and realizing like, oh, he was our people. He was amongst the poor and the broken.
Yeah.
And he was the one because I felt so connected to that on my own journey of like, oh, well,
Yeah.
I don't feel so alone when I am connecting to that energy, to either Jesus or God's source, or, when I'm meditating, praying, like it was like,
Yeah.
oh, there's something there
Yeah.
that there's that connection there that I really appreciated. And so learning more about his story and like, oh, okay. So yeah, he was
I got
amongst
you,
us.
bro.
And
Right?
and I truly believe he really was trying to teach us that we do have it all within us to be
Absolutely.
like him. Like that's what he was trying to teach. It's like he wasn't trying to just be like, worship me. It was like, he
Exactly.
was like, no, I'm trying to give you the gift of this. Like, this is my gift to give to you. And we are all one. Like, that's my purpose here to be in
Yeah.
this body, with you all is to be like, no, you have these gifts too. You
I
do.
love that you said it.
Yeah.
So with that being said, do you feel like we are in those biblical times?
Oh my gosh. It's, oh yeah, full body chills.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Everyone that I talk to, it's like
it's,
it doesn't even matter what side you're on anymore. They're like, shit's
yeah.
about to go
Oh,
down.
it's going down. And it
But it's
does.
gonna be for the like for people that
Yeah.
watch this now and in the future and you don't
Yeah.
understand. I just want to encourage you. You've got to show the people how bad things really are. But I promise you,
Yeah,
everything's going to be okay. And there's
it
going to be a
is.
whole new system.
Yeah.
People that have done their homework, they know that.
Yes, it
I
is.
love it.
And it is, it's hugely cyclical. And the more I look into it, it's like, oh, it makes sense. Like it's just the constant cyclical of the burning down and the rebirth. And we are being uplifted to come into this new earth. And
Yeah.
and what's beautiful is I love that we are building more of a community around it, because for me it's very much like this personal journey. The more that I'm going within in my own heart and my own connection to source, the
Mhm.
more I can celebrate and be myself and like support
I
other
love it.
people in coming along too, because it's like I've been down in the trenches and done the shadow work, and
Dang.
I
Yep.
have, I mean, I went
You're
through.
super sharp too. I love it. You're
Thank
very,
you.
very articulate. You're like,
Oh,
don't try to mess with, yeah, like
yeah.
I can tell you claim your power, but not in a, I'm, yeah, I love it. And I loved what
Well,
you just said about Jesus too, because honestly, I think we all know that Jesus wouldn't be like, hey, bro, I like your Rolls Royce and your fancy jewel. He wasn't like that. He
yeah,
didn't care about that stuff. He's all
yeah,
about, like what's within here.
yeah,
Like all our movies that we've
yeah.
had. I love it.
But
So
also, it's
continue.
like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was just, I mean, touching on that though, because I have beautiful friends who do follow their own source and are very connected to Jesus and their God source, who
Mhm.
do have all the fancy things, but they are beautiful people that give back tenfold because of
I
it.
love hearing that.
Yeah,
Yep.
they go into the gratitude of it. So they're
That's
blessed, and the
beautiful.
miracles
Yep.
I've seen in their lives and who they are as people is because,
They're good examples.
yeah, they're good examples with this first, and
Yeah.
then, being able to give back to community and show like
Oh,
we
I
all
love
can
it.
have it. Like they're showing like this isn't about being materialistic, it's about enjoying the life that we have, and this is the purpose of
I
walking in this
love
life.
what you
Like
said.
it's possible.
Not everyone is that way. Thank you for
Yeah.
clarifying because I think those are very, very special people. I just
Hmm.
I almost feel like, and I think maybe you might be able to understand this, but I almost feel bad for those people now that just work endless hours away from family and friends,
Hmm.
and it's just for a job for someone
Hmm.
else. And to me, I'm just like, you kind of pray for them, it's like,
Yeah,
okay, and we all hit our awakening at a different time. Would you agree?
exactly. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
And it
So
is
go back
very.
into your
Oh
talk
yeah.
about Jesus because I love this. I talk to him every day and night.
Oh, I love that. I mean, for me, it's been very, very cyclical because I came from kind of a trauma, negative religious background. I came completely out of it, went the other way of partying and, self discovery in my 20s and everything, and very much avoiding and shutting down the parts of me that were awakening because I
Mhm.
was.
It was
Um,
confusing. You were just trying to
it
figure
was
things
so
out.
well, it was so hard and confusing. And then I'm trying to connect with people and nobody's connecting with me. And then I'm like, pushing people away because I'm talking about like psychic personal things. Somebody can sit in front of me and I know where you are. I know what you're feeling. I can go deep really, really quickly and see
Mhm.
you. And that would freak people out. I would do it too much too soon.
I totally understand that. I'd be like, how'd
Yeah.
you do it? I'm like, ooh, you're like, oh,
Because this person's telling me, he's nudging me like, hey, talk to them about this. And
yeah,
but unfortunately, like it's a very lonely road. And so
it
i
is.
got i
Yeah.
got very depressed. I got suicidal. I got heavy into drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
And
I feel like that's a big, big,
yeah,
big symptom for people. It's like just
huge.
trying to mask what you keep
Yes.
hearing and you can't figure out and you don't know where to start. And
Avoid the pain. And honestly,
yeah.
the suicide was like, take me back. Please take me back. I
Oh,
just want to feel that
oh,
love again. I want to feel that acceptance. I want to be held again like that. I mean,
yeah.
it's been a struggle my whole life because it was so blissful and so amazing. I like chased that energy feeling.
Yeah.
And then I did it in the unhealthy way by checking out completely and,
But in a
partying.
way, thank goodness that that happened because you
Yeah.
wouldn't have come full circle.
Yes, exactly.
It's part of the
Exactly.
lesson.
Yeah.
That's just like in your entertainment and your movies
Yeah.
and your TV shows and all that. They go through it
Yep.
and they're like, "Ah."
Well, and
It's
I
their
just,
journey.
yeah, it's this journey. And then I just kept being told anytime I did get back to source, it was like, okay, like you can do this again, but I'm just going to show you. And it would get harder and harder and harder.
Mhm.
And then finally, again, recently, it was like, so many people say it. It's like, well, when you're sick of your shit, when you're ready, he'll be there waiting always. But like, you're
Yeah.
gonna have to figure it out. Like, he
Oh,
can't
I
do it
love
for
that you
you.
said that. I know. Oh, mine is a crazy story. I'll share my interview with you on the down low. You'll be like, holy shit. Like
Yeah, I
a
would
lot of
love
stuff
that.
back in New Hampshire. But so can
Oh
I
yeah,
ask you,
yeah.
when you had left the church and all that, did you have
Hmm.
family and friends that turned their back on you? Or did you have some that stayed?
Yeah.
Or because I've heard that a
What's
lot and it breaks my heart.
yeah, what's really interesting, it was very split because my mom's whole side of the family is Mormon, but my mom and my dad are not. My mom didn't raise me Mormon, even though we were connected to that on her side.
Hmm.
I was baptized Christian, and my dad was very stoic and very, kind of Christian, but we didn't go to
Mm,
church every Sunday, but it was still like this very tough, stoic, not touchy-feely. Like I was never told I
gotcha.
love you. I was never held and touched. Like it was very like separate. And
Yeah.
so I
So,
found my own journey. And because my whole community that I was growing up in, that I felt safe in, that I loved, like close friends, were Mormon. And so I chose as a teenager to be baptized Mormon,
mhm.
and went down a deep road with that,
Mm.
and loved it until I didn't, until I was really
What
in the
was it?
church.
What was it that you didn't like?
To me,
Because this is part of your awakening,
yeah,
clearly.
oh, completely. To me,
What
it
was
did
it that you didn't like? Yeah.
the scriptures, what they were teaching, the fact that I was like Bible open, Book of Mormon open, and they're telling me they're like the perfect match. And I'm like, nothing matches. And I couldn't get answers. I was like, well, what about this? And then what about this? And what about this? And like nobody could give me the answers that I was looking for, and it
Oh,
didn't match up. And then there were just toxic things that were happening. And
like
um
you don't have to say names
no,
because
oh gosh, yeah, no,
I think this is going to help people as well when they question things as well in
well,
all
yeah, it
religion.
was
You know
hard
what
for
I'm
me
saying?
because since I was a convert, they kind of put me into a ward, a church that with other delinquent converts, if you can say that. And then they were kind of pressuring you.
You mean like labels to
Yeah,
make you feel more
exactly.
ashamed and
Exactly.
yeah.
So immediately it's like, well, I didn't feel like I fit in. I already felt shamed, like there was something wrong with me, because they were like, well, you're never going to be able to go through the temple. You're never going to be able to do all these things unless you really do this, this, and this. And they were pushing, like from a young, I mean, gosh, I was just turned 18, and they were already pushing like marriage and dating and all of that. Like, well, you have to get on board. And they were like pressuring me to go on dates. They literally were doing like setting me up with other.
I have a theory we could talk about off
Yeah.
camera on why the encouragement of big families. We'll
Oh
talk
no,
about
oh
that.
gosh, I already, yeah,
You
no,
might
it's,
already, I'm
yeah,
already
it's,
like,
yeah, it's interesting.
yep,
And so
yep.
for me, it just nothing fit right. I was like, this is not true for me. There was just too much that didn't line up, that I was like, I love my family and friends who are still Mormon. I appreciate
Yeah,
them, and
yeah.
it's like, I don't
And
want to talk bad about the church, but I do have a lot of not great things to say about the church, and have had
nothing
other
happened
stories.
to you though.
Oh no, not in the
Okay,
sense.
okay. I
No,
just wanted
no,
to,
there was no physical abuse or any or sexual abuse there. But
okay.
I have a lot of friends, unfortunately,
I want to
that did
interview
go through
them
that.
because I want to connect them with the others because some of them have become very, very dear friends of mine and their character
Oh,
is just so strong and
I would love that. I have several friends that are just
I
out
want
of
to introduce them
addiction,
to, oh,
that had
sorry.
severe trauma in the church, that are trying to find their people around. And I'm sure, yeah, I would love that. I would love
Are
to
they
connect
located
you.
here in Utah
They're
or are they?
here. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, let's
Hmm.
connect because I want to
Yeah,
get them. These people are very, very special to me. And honestly,
absolutely.
I think that they would fit in very well. So real quick,
Yeah.
the thing that I hear listening on the outside, and people can judge me all they want because that's what people do. But
Hmm.
I'm going to state it. I mean, for them to say you're never going to be able to do this and that and this
Hmm.
and that,
Hmm.
for me, as I listen to this, is like, wow, that is not God loving. You're
No.
basically saying she's never going to make it. You're not giving her any hope
Yeah.
in your quote
Yep.
unquote. And the other thing that I have come up with all on my own, and many others have as well, is that um, it breaks my heart if you watch some of the other interviews on the Sharon the Red Baron show of some
Yeah.
people leaving the Mormon church is when their family and friends. I'm not saying all of them do that. So I'm not
Hmm.
bashing the community, but what I do have a problem with is when people have these awesome memories and so forth, and they're just like chop.
Yep.
They just leave. Like I'm just gonna tell you what I hear. What I hear from the big guy upstairs, he's like, they ain't getting in the pearly gates. They're gonna send them back to do their homework because they didn't pass
Yeah.
the test. And like, I know
Exactly.
to some people they might be like, oh,
Well,
okay, whatever you say, but
yeah,
you get what I'm saying.
exactly. Oh
It's you're
yeah.
not,
I
you can't
mean,
put yourself above other people.
exactly.
You can't.
Well, and
It's
for me, because
disgusting.
I already felt like I had an inside knowing of what happens and who Jesus is and all of that because of what I went
Hmm.
through in my near death experience. I left the church going like, no offense, guys, but this is bullshit. Like I know my God, and
I love you, Kim.
he is all love and light and give, like there is no whatever bullshit, hell, purgatory, all the things that that we put fear into. That is not my belief. That is not what
Yep.
I've been through. I know
Good
that
for
he is,
you.
yeah, I know he's all forgiving and all
Yeah.
loving, and the it's like we need to have contrast. I get that. It's like we need to know
Yeah.
what we
Yep.
don't want to know what
Duality.
we do want, but
Yep. Do
yeah,
you feel
so
that there are so many rules and so forth in religion as well? Do you feel like
yeah.
Jesus is just not that type?
Yeah, it's just so simple. It's so simple. It doesn't have to
Yeah,
be
I
there.
know.
Yeah,
It's like crazy. Like
yeah.
do you find too nowadays, especially the last couple months and maybe the last month, because you're aware of the Schumann resonance, right?
Yes,
How
of
like this,
course. Oh gosh.
oh, you are definitely my
Off the
people. Well, I
charts.
I remember when I first heard about it a couple years ago, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
and they are putting it in the news. They're putting it under science and so forth.
Yeah,
And
it's
I find
crazy.
it fascinating because when I follow, there's a woman, oh my gosh, you will love her. Schumann Resonance by Marguerite on Facebook. She just breaks things down so simply. And like when there's a big spike, everyone's like, no wonder why I threw my brains up. I don't even know what
Yeah,
I ate. And
yeah.
like my head is just pounding and like my
Uh-huh.
muscles feel like I just did a marathon and I didn't do
Yeah.
anything. Like it's
Yep.
amazing. I mean, this stuff
Yeah.
is real.
Yeah, it is.
So
It's
exciting.
really exciting and interesting, and yeah, it's fun.
Aren't
It's
you glad
fascinating.
you are where you are now compared to being where you were in that old mindset?
Oh my gosh. I mean, so grateful right now. Honestly, every day I just sit in gratitude because that's where the magic is for me. It's like sit in
Yeah.
gratitude to open to receive the gifts, the love, the knowing, all of that. Because I wasn't. I mean, in this last year, I was spiraling down again into the depths of codependency and people pleasing and wanting to fit in and feel loved and like grasping for something here in the 3D. And yeah, I had to kind of get my
I'm
way back out of
sorry.
that
You
again.
got it going on now, girlfriend. There's nothing
Yeah.
stopping you. So let's fast forward a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
after, you left the church and so forth and you started to
Yeah.
do what was that pivotal moment for you to be like, oh, I gotta put my big girl pants on because I gotta see this big show that's about to go down in my life
Yeah.
and this world.
Oh gosh. I mean, fast forward to recent or like fast forward to my next awakening in my 20s. Cause for me, it was the Berkeley Psychic Institute. It was
And please share a little bit about that. That's
yeah.
fascinating.
I
That's
forget if they're
fascinating.
called the Church of Divine. I forget what they're called now, but the business is under like a kind of like a blanketed like
Where
church,
are
and it's
they located? Is it
for
part of the university or?
no,
Okay.
they're located in Berkeley. Yeah, and it's the Berkeley Psychic Institute or BPI, and they're still going. Unfortunately, it's interesting because I thought it's like, man, this is going to take off. This is amazing, and they're still doing well, but they're not as big as I thought they would be, and I'm not sure why.
Hmm.
Because for
Hmm.
me, it was magical because it was the first time I stepped into a place that was
Judgment free.
judgment free, unconditional love. Everything was welcome there, and it was my first time understanding like, oh, we're all intuitive, we're all psychic, we all have the ability to tap into source. I'm worthy to talk to Jesus on a daily basis. Like he is there for
Oh.
me. I am worthy to, you know, accept the fact that I do have these gifts and that we all do. And it was really powerful. So it truly was the first time I learned how to meditate and like pray. Like for me, I was like, oh, meditation is prayer. It's not just, you know,
I'm so glad you said that. That is
yeah.
something that in these episodes, when we bring up meditation,
Mm-hmm.
I'm clarifying when people actually read scriptures and the parables within
Yeah.
all religion, Jesus meditated. And that
Yes.
was his prayer. And they
Yeah.
distorted it. So they put that label like, oh my gosh, that's witchcraft, be careful.
Yeah.
And they put these labels because they want to dumb people down.
Yeah. What I love for me, what I was taught, not just from them, but I mean, getting downloads from Jesus, God source himself, was like meditation is about opening your vessel to receive. And I never
Yep.
felt worthy enough to receive. So it was beautiful to be told
Oh,
that and guidance, like, no, like that's what it's for. Like learning about the chakra system and completely opening your vessel up to learn how to receive and heal yourself and be open to the gifts of
yeah.
what he's trying to tell you and guide you and show you. Like all the
I love
answers are
it.
right there.
Are
And learning,
within. They say that in
yeah,
all of our
yes,
entertainment. There's a reason. They wanted to
yeah.
see who's paying attention.
Well, and also learning that meditation and prayer isn't about asking out of desperation and lack of like, please help me and give me, and this is what I need. It's about sitting and opening and receiving the gifts and the guidance and praying in
Yeah.
gratitude, being so grateful for
Another
everything that
chance.
I've been through. Like, oh my gosh, like the more I sit in gratitude and prayer, the more things align in my life, the more things
Right?
like everything shows up and works out for me if I'm sitting in gratitude.
Girl, I love what you
Yeah,
said because here's the thing that I have found, and I'm not being mean. God tells me to throw a little humor in here so that you
always.
don't offend some
Yes,
people. But my
yes.
point is like, and I was just talking about this on one of my other interviews, which was great. I can't wait till everyone hears these stories. They're like off the charts, amazing. But I digress. But we were talking about that, the people that have their blinders on that are like, juice, 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 boom, 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 every day,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have the time to really stop and think about these things. So that's why it sounds so crazy when they, like in the movies and stuff, they're like, oh, they're talking about philosophy and they're all so happy and they're smoking the joint and they're just
Uh-huh.
all like peace and love. And the angry people, what I found, and I'm not trying to, I don't mean it in a mean way because obviously not everyone is, but it's the people that judge those people that are like,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
that's so silly. But what at the end of the day, in their mind, they're like, I would love to be so relaxed like that. How can I get that? But I think that it's that whole comparison thing, labels,
Yeah.
comparisons, and a lot of us are being taught how to be mean to other people through every
Mm-hmm.
single form of entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And we will get back to the whole like, hey, brother, hey, sister, what you cooking over there tonight? Oh, we got leftovers. Like, it seems like no one even really talks to their neighbors anymore as much. Would you
Yeah.
agree?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's especially, I mean, I hate to bag on California, but California is very much more like blinders on. And it
Mm.
surprised me moving out of California, and more people would say, like, oh, hi, if you're passing them on the street, where growing up, like people were like ignoring and like not really interacting. And it would always
That's
be
good.
surprising when I would like reach out and like smile at people or talk with them or, feel guided, because obviously, I mean, since my death experience, I've always been um,
You want
a
people to be
person to be,
happy.
well, I'm just a person to be guided to like, I definitely have been guided. I mean, even like on the train going to work back in the day, it was like that person, like I'm literally, Jesus is like, go talk to that person, go sit by them, something,
Yes, I love
and
that you said that.
yeah, but like the
Mhm.
beautifulness of that, just the little tiny things, the interactions that not only light somebody else up, but light yourself up. Because I've had people do that to me, like change my complete day around and I've never seen them again. But because of a
Yeah,
simple conversation, it literally shifted my day. And
I agree. It's the little things.
yes,
And
yeah,
when people recognize those little things, it's that paying it forward.
exactly.
I
And as
love that you
yeah,
said that because I feel the same way too. It's like you can just feel someone, in the room that's just in their own head, like, Like
Mm-hmm.
you, and when you're done talking with them, it's like, no, oh, yeah, it's just, it's the right,
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful because then it gives that person, you leave that person with something to think about,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I think it's important too. I mean, I love working with, that's one of the things I love most about working with people because of my own journey of diving into victimhood and being stuck in that cyclical drain of despair of the stories of what's happened to me, and
Hmm.
realizing like the only way out is within and going, getting that connection
That would be
and
a good t-shirt.
yeah. I love
I
that.
keep saying, I'm like, someone's got to come up with all these great slogans and things, and like, so people can read on people's t-shirts, and it'd be
Yeah.
like your own little blip, like thought of the
Yeah.
day, like, oh,
Yeah.
I never thought about that, instead of wearing like Tommy Hilfiger and all that other
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. Well, I try to support people to get out of their victim mind because
Yeah.
truthfully, obviously, we're the ones that are in charge of our life. It's all up to us. Anything outside of ourselves doesn't really matter. It's all about in here and connecting up there. And
Yep.
at least it is for me. Like if I didn't
Yep.
have that connection to source, like I don't know what I would do. I mean, it's such a blessing.
I
It's such a gift.
know. I love that you said that because you're like, please don't send me back in that mindset. It's really yucky in
Yeah.
there. And once you hit it though, it does feel so
Yeah.
freeing.
Well, and
And
I really chased, like artificially chased the energy, the feeling that I got from my near death experience. And I realized the more sober I am, the more meditation and prayer I do, and the more I do forgiveness and openness and receiving, I am blissed out and I do get to go back there. And I do end up
yeah.
crying and laughing and going like, oh, the energy's there. It's there. I am being
I
held.
love it. I love it. Well, let's fast forward a little bit.
Okay.
So you said this past year or so you were kind of going backwards a
Yeah.
little.
Hmm.
Are you open to discussing that? Do you
Yeah.
look
I
back
mean,
now and do you think it was just that so much is so intense in this entire world with the
hmm
news and the scariness and the is
it's
it everything?
everything. It's
Mhm.
I've because I can feel the whole planet. I know my other empaths can relate.
Yep.
I can feel everything that's going on with everybody around me. And so when it gets really overwhelming and my little girl self that wasn't held and loved and protected comes out, I go into codependency and I go into people pleasing and like fawning
Hmm.
over like, okay, well, if I fix it for you, if I make you feel better, then I'll feel better, that whole feeling.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I've spent my whole life going through this circle of like trying to be the best person ever and putting love and light out
Hmm.
there and trying to be
Hmm.
like I empathize and I have compassion, but
If it's not
really
reciprocated as well, it just
mhm.
you second guess
Well,
humanity, really,
and
right?
just realizing that not everybody's going to see me and love me and understand me and get it, and and that's okay. But I went through this cycle of losing people over the last, gosh, I would say 8 years, like best friends, like the closest friends I've had forever,
So
like
I
people
get
who
it.
I trusted and loved, and and these relationships I'm getting into and giving everything to, and just losing myself in that. So I kind of
They
went
don't
down
get it
that
yet.
road. Yeah.
A lot of them just don't understand. And
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because if you could give words of encouragement to people that are going through the same thing, what would you tell them
Oh.
when they're finally finding their inner peace and then the people are like what you just
I
said?
For me, it's just been this going back and like finding the little parts of myself because it's not about the other people. It's really
Exactly.
like
Yep.
there's stuff, it is about them. Like the things that I want to like try to fix and change. And like, if you were only this way, then I would feel better. Like that's
Well,
about
we
them. And
can't.
this is about me.
Yeah.
And the heartache is really what are the mirrors, what are they showing me that I need to give to myself, or what are they showing me that I'm not giving to myself? So it's a constant like going back to what do I need? What are all the parts of me that are, desperate for being seen and heard and loved and cared for? What can I do for myself to like give to
Hmm.
myself?
Hmm.
And so for me, it's like going within and then going back to God and going like,
I
okay,
love it, sister.
like
I
sitting
love it.
down and going like, okay, like what do I need? And it's really we're all on such a personal journey that we can't be so offended
Yeah.
by the other things. And I can tell for myself with huge confidence that all of these hardships, all of these heartbreaks that I continue to have are making me stronger in who I am. It is helping me breathe more, knowing like it's okay. It doesn't matter. I get to live my life however I want. The people who are meant
Yeah.
for me are going to come and see me and love me the way that I deserve. And I
Yep.
get to let go of the clinginess, that achy, that
Yeah.
heartbreak of like, why don't they like me?
Yeah, but it feels it's
Yeah.
very, very empowering too
Oh,
when you can
yeah.
finally cut that cord. Would you
Yeah.
agree? It's like,
Oh, yeah. It's
yeah,
huge. It's huge to finally just be like, okay, it's okay. Let go, let God, like
yeah,
that's all that
yeah,
matters. I am loved and seen truthfully, and
yeah. And you're running into more people like that lately, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let me ask you, with that being said, can you share with people what your next journey is going to be? Because I find it fascinating. And I'm
Yeah.
going to interview you once you get all squared away out there, girl,
Yeah.
because we're going to show other people,
Yeah.
some
Well,
tips and tricks to get these things going. So share away.
yeah. I mean, I think it's exciting. I think a lot of us in the collective are really wanting to kind of separate ourselves from the negativity of the world and what's going on in the chaos and like get a little more simple. And so I have some beautiful friends who have 80 acres in Northern California who've been doing off grid and have it all dialed in. And I'm going to go live the dream and go be on this farm and help support them, like build a community. It's just a few of us, and we are cultivating and inviting in like a community to come live off the land. If you want to learn how to go off grid and go do it somewhere else, or if you just want to be a part of this conscious community and
I love
survive.
it.
I mean, if anything
So you're talking like
catastrophic,
tiny homes and stuff like that?
yeah, I
Like,
mean, we are, yeah,
woo!
we're trying to keep it pretty basic and
Yep.
manageable. So for anybody who really doesn't know, starting from scratch, or really is just
That's a great way to learn, though. You can
mm-hmm.
figure out what works and what doesn't work really, really quick. What are the things
Yeah.
we need to get down right away, like toilets and things like that, and
Yeah.
however you want to flush
Yeah.
things and stuff. But
Yeah.
really, I mean, it's
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 very
your
basic. I mean, right now we're all compostable. We don't even have a sewer system at the moment. But it works amazing. It's all the compost stuff and it's awesome. Um, so yeah, I mean, we're wanting it to really have a beautiful space where people can come and feel safe and be themselves and want to cultivate an incredible community with family. I mean, there's children there already. And so we're wanting to like, we want to build a legacy for the future because we're not going to be able to, do the land forever. Like we're all getting into our middle age years of like, okay,
uh-huh.
we kind of
Don't
need,
forget about med beds.
yeah,
Forget about med beds. They're already
exactly.
here.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I want my full. I
Yeah.
want everything repaired. I can't.
Yeah. So we
I
want
know for some
people,
people they'll think that's crazy, but just please, I encourage you to look up Tesla med
oh,
beds. They're popping up everywhere.
I see. Yep. No, I know what you're
For the
talking about.
people, you know what I'm saying.
I
There's a
see.
lot of
Yep.
people that be like, here she goes again. And I'll be like, because
Yeah.
just do a little homework. That's what this
Yep.
is all over. It's
I
crazy.
love it. I love it.
Lighting.
So yeah, we're hoping, I mean, we
Wow.
want to make it like a retreat space so people can either come and use it as a retreat space for their personal retreats or just want to come and have
Smart.
a vacation away from the real world or, all of the things.
Yeah.
We just have really been dreaming about this for a lot of years now. So
Sounds so
yeah,
beautiful. Oh,
yeah.
I'm going to see you.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's up near the redwoods. We're, an hour,
Oh,
hour and a half away from the beach. Like
my
it's
God.
a magical place. Yeah.
Wow, the
Yeah.
redwoods. Oh my gosh. I remember seeing
Yeah.
them. I was just so like, wow. They're
Yeah.
so massive and beautiful
Hmm.
and just
Yeah.
wow. I
It's a
love it. See?
yeah.
Okay, so here's a great way to look at it that I think that
Hmm.
you probably have already been feeling, but like look what you just went through. Now
Yeah.
you're mature and you like figured things out and you
Hmm.
you you went through the shitty and you went through the depressing and you went through all
Hmm.
the and now look at you.
Yeah.
You're like coming up with a happy like
Yeah.
that's one thing that I've had this conversation with quite a few people where And at first they look at you like you got like 10 heads on your head. Like none of this makes sense. And it's only and I respect that because like you
Yeah.
said, we're all, but when you say to someone, like, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be so great to just like be off the grid for weeks on end without even thinking about work once?
Yeah.
And they're like, you gotta work. And then I like to make people think about it, but like, do you really need all these trends and things every
Hmm.
year? You're spending, 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 and you don't really use. And like, do you think that God wanted you to be working, 5 to 7 days a week? And like, it really kind of opens up their minds to like,
Yeah.
holy shit balls. I never thought of it. Those are like those campfire philosophy, philosophical conversations you have with other people. And that's,
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And I just think
exactly.
it's a great way to, because everyone I know that works all those crazy hours,
Hmm.
they would love a vacation, but it's not built in these brains anymore.
Yeah. And
I
it's
mean,
sad. And yeah, we're all programmed. And I was too. I mean, I grew up,
yeah, me too.
I
Yeah.
am not wealthy. I've definitely been one of those people, paycheck to paycheck. I've given away more than I've received, all of that kind of stuff. And I have
Mm-hmm.
so many people like, well, what are you going to do? And how are you going to survive? And it's like, well, you know what? It's always worked out for me. It's always worked out for me. And I've never had a desire to be a millionaire. Now, would I
Yeah.
welcome that if that energy comes and I'm supposed to be blessed in that way?
And put it towards a
Absolutely.
humanitarian project.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
But I
coming,
mean,
girl.
but if it's always, I mean, any money I've ever had, it's like I've always just known its energy. And it's like I've never had an issue giving it away because it's always come back to me. And yes, I'm thinking of it's like, hey, I'm getting older, you're right, retirement and whatever. But
We're gonna have a
man,
whole new system like in
I'm
the
just
next
not worried.
year.
I
I'm not even
know.
worried about it.
Yeah, it's just I'm not concerned, especially now seeing the beauty and how many people out there are really are going like, yes, off grid, yes, community, like I need that. And working with people who
Yeah.
are in their mid 20s, who are in the tech industry making all this money, and they're literally saying like, I'm only making this money so I can retire and live in community and give back. And I'm like, I love it.
That
I
is
love
awesome. Oh, we
it.
gotta interview some of
Yeah. Oh, they're
them.
amazing. And there's a whole, they're like literally like
I
mid 20s,
love
late 20s, and already are looking at property. Like my friend just turned 30 and he's like, oh, yeah, I'm probably going to retire or maybe work a little, but like he's already looking at property to do this with a group of his friends. They're
it.
already like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go live.
And they're
I,
finding their families, the ones, and I
yeah.
mean, that's the other
Yeah.
thing. Don't you find that people are finally realizing the term family is
Yes.
where we really are all one, and that's
All
part of the big
family.
scam of
Yeah.
what's happening in this world is create division,
Yeah.
division, division, so that we all
Yeah.
can't come together. And evil ain't
Yeah.
liking it because I think we're in the home stretch here.
Yeah. Well, and I just love that I've been shown, that we truly are all a part of each other. We all are mirrors. And so there's just so much to be learned. Like there's so much to learn out there and be taught and
Yeah.
also like just witness. Um, because I've definitely been stuck in the like, I don't want to put myself out there. Like, I'm not an online person. I'm very old
Yeah.
school. I want
Yeah.
to do in person, but I admire people like you are putting their faces out there and
Oh,
like
you're sweet. I'm doing
Jesus.
this to try to help other people get out of that
But that's just
because
it
it's
is like,
happening.
yeah, but Jesus told me, is like, well, yeah, the person that you're admiring and looking at and like so excited for, like, they are a part of you. So, like, there's an
Yeah.
extension there and there's energy there. So, it's like, I get to interact with people like you who are doing it. And I don't have to
Yeah.
do, it's like, it's fine if I don't want to be internet famous and things like that. Like,
Oh, me
other people
neither.
are
I
doing.
don't either. Trust me. I know
Yeah.
that could be overwhelming. I'm
Oh,
like,
it is.
I
Cause,
I want to
yeah.
do, like I love that you just said that too. And I
Yeah.
love how you worded it because that's the feeling you get when you get to that awakening. And like
Yeah.
there's no more competition with anyone except ourselves.
Exactly. Yep. I mean, of course, we're our own worst enemies, right? We're our
Yeah.
own hardest
Mhm.
critics,
Yeah.
like all of that. So it's beautiful when you can look at the mirrors and just be like, you're not alone in this and it's okay.
Yeah.
And, let's get out of our head and our thoughts a little bit and start meditating and praying and realizing
Yeah.
like all the answers are there. And anytime I've followed my heart and guidance, 100% steered me in the right direction.
I
And so,
agree. I
yeah,
agree. I love
yeah,
that. Well, listen,
yeah,
we're wrapping up here. Let me
yes,
ask
yeah.
you,
Hmm.
what are your words of encouragement for people that feel like they're in the process?
Mm,
What are your words of encouragement to them?
um, breathe, breathe, and gosh, for me, you have to just let yourself feel it. Don't avoid it. For me, it's really been about like, and if you're feeling super, because I have felt so alone at times where I had nobody to reach out to, even a
I agree.
therapist.
And you can't
And
talk to anyone because you're afraid of being judged and
yeah,
mm-hmm.
honestly, it's just get in touch with here, and whatever your source is, whatever that is for you, whether it's music and dancing. For me, it's getting in the bath and crying for hours if that's what I need, but
Yeah.
allowing yourself to go through the emotions, because you are being shown what's on the other side. So the
I
more that
love what
you
you
can,
just said there.
yeah, so the more that you can actually allow yourself to go through it, even if you're feeling guilt and shame and all the nasty things about yourself, like have that, think all the things, but
Yeah.
realize like you
There was a
can
reason
get through
why
it.
they were that way
Yeah.
too, and it usually stems from something that hurts.
Yeah. Just realize in the moments, because of course, like I said, I've been suicidal in the darkest of moments. And thank God, God and Jesus, like, did things to me in the moment to help me get through that. But it's like when you wake up the next day, it is better. It does get better. And but it
Yeah.
is, I just always tell people like definitely find support if you can, the people that are safe, because we can't
Yeah.
do this alone. That's why we're here right now. You can't do it
Yeah,
alone.
we're here to help each other.
But if you are feeling that alone, like you are not alone. Like the more you can just go within and know that you are safe and you are worthy and you are loved and you are loved, like you do have
Yeah.
something to offer. We are all gifted and
Yes.
special and
I'm so
unique.
glad you said that
Yeah.
because I feel like so many people just feel like there's nothing special or unique. And
Yeah.
there really is. It's that digging
Yes.
deeper.
Well, it's the
What do I really
comparison, and
love?
the
Yeah, we can't
comparison is
compare.
so hard these days with everything that's out there, and
Yeah.
I suffer with that still on a daily basis. And so
Yeah.
it really is, yeah, like going within, find your own personal sense of
Yeah.
joy and worth, and it's baby steps, try to
Yes.
just be in the moment, be present.
Yes.
Baby steps for me, it's about turning on a song sometimes,
Oh,
and
music
just,
is
yeah,
I'm right there with you. I'll share you some of my favorite
yeah,
songs I meditate to. It gets me in the zone.
yeah.
So, oh, I
And
love what you
sometimes
said.
and sometimes it does help to reach out to strangers online. Like I kind of have a love-hate relationship, but honestly, when I don't feel safe with people in my life, even if I do know that there are people who love me in my life, if I'm not feeling safe, because it feels very scary to be vulnerable, reaching out to people like you or anything on in these online communities, and just,
Yeah.
I admire when I do see people just reaching out saying like I'm struggling, like I just need something
Yeah.
out there in the universe, and usually they get back some really beautiful responses. So just, yeah, no, you're not
Oh,
alone.
I love it. And I love
Yeah.
how a lot of you have been connecting in the group chat when I was setting up these times and
Yeah.
stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
introduce yourself. Where are you from? And you
Yeah.
might be able to hug. You could be like new BFFs, you
I
know?
Yeah, I'm so excited to hear other people's stories. So thank you for doing this.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, Carrie. And let me ask you,
Hmm.
um, because I do feel like in due time, your story's gonna resonate with them. And is there a place that they can find you and reach out to you?
Well, I mean, right now, like I said, I'm not huge online, but you can find me on Facebook. My name is Carrie Menefee, Menefee, or CL Menefee on Instagram. But I'm getting off Instagram. If I get back on Instagram, it's going to be because more of this type of thing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to start sharing and wanting to be in community, but my
Yeah.
personal page is going to go away because that's like old energy. And, so Facebook is probably
Oh,
the
I
best
like
way.
that.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah,
All
Carrie
right.
Carrie Menefee on Facebook. I would love to hear from anybody.
I love it. Well, Carrie, thank you so much for
Thank
sharing your
you.
story and your real rawness and I am so excited that we met because
Me too.
we got to go find the others, right?
Yes. Yeah,
I
I'm so
love it.
excited. I'm really excited to be in touch. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Oh, good. I hope this like gets a little off your
Yeah,
chest because a
it
lot of
does.
people, and hey, any of your friends that want to start interviewing their friends on their awakening stories, because
Yeah,
honestly, God already told me the more people that share them, the more people are going to realize
absolutely.
it's this is like the newness, the new world, so to speak, and you know what
Exactly.
I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we can all learn from each other, just like you said, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so
Awesome.
much.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. Well, you have a great day.
You
Thank
too.
you.
We'll talk soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.